Hey guys, it's CJ here from FHG. Really excited for today's episode with Jordon, our co-founder. What he has achieved by 22 years old is remarkable. Really excited for you guys to hear his story. So Jordon, can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, I'm 22 years old. I'm a full-time fund manager, personal funds. I've invested in many different things, from options to stocks and equities to Forex to AI systems, a lot across the board. And my next project is going to be real estate too. I started trading about when I was 18 years old, which three and a half, 4 years ago now. And I've been doing it ever since, full time.
Wow, sounds good. So can you tell us how a typical day looks for you?
Typical day is pretty lazy, actually. As I know, a lot of entrepreneurs out there are striving day in, day out. I've always neglected that type of life. The whole reason I got into trading and investing from the get-go was because I wanted time freedom. And I've tried to incorporate that into my everyday life as much as possible now that I'm privileged enough to be able to do that. So I wake up in the morning, the usual morning coffee. Yep, we still do that. And then check all the emails and stuff. I have a look at what AI systems, my trading systems have done overnight, because being based in Melbourne, the US trading sessions and all the action in the Forex market happens overnight for me. So I have a look at how my AI systems went overnight and make some adjustments if I need to, answer any emails, take about 2 hours a day. And then I'm either spending an hour looking for more investments opportunities, or I'm going to enjoy my time freedom that I worked so hard for in the early days.
Wow, that's, for someone like myself who works really hard, that just shows that if you plan your day right, how you don't actually have to put that many hours in. Obviously, for trading Forex myself, I set alerts, and I don't need to do anything until it buzzes and tells me it's at my area of interest. So how many hours would you actually say you put in to work each day?
It depends on the day and the circumstance. Obviously, some days I'm going to have meetings with different people from different industries. Some days I'm going to have nothing on at all, and I'm going to take the whole day off. It really does range, but something I've always found anyway, when I used to work 9 to 5 for a short period of time, is the most production and most productive part of the day was the first 3 hours. The first 3 hours is when I got most of my stuff done, and the rest of the day I was just kind of looking at the clock going, when does this end? You know what I mean? When do I get to go home and stuff? So I try to plan that, and I have my morning coffee, and I get stuck straight into it. I smash out a load of work and hopefully get a lot done within the first 3 hours. Some days I'll go for 6 or 7 hours. Some days I'll be done in half an hour. It just depends on the day.
Nice. No, I know from obviously working in schools and with children that they will switch off, and we as adults do exactly the same. So I think being productive in the morning when you get up is definitely the best time.
Yeah.
So how did you get your funding? How did you generate your funding to do all of these investments?
It was a difficult process. It was quite an interesting one. But at the time of when I first started trading, I was a little over 18 years old, and I come across an advertisement for a broker, an all-round stockbroker. Did everything from cryptocurrencies to commodities and stuff like that. And they grasped me with some of their advertisement campaigns, and that's when I decided to open an account. At the time, the first time I opened an account, I think I put something like $500 in, which wasn't a lot in terms of trading. I know for a lot of people that can be a lot of money, but when it comes to investing and stuff, $500 was pennies. And I actually have I have a copy of the certificate and the receipt of my first ever trade, because I've always wanted to keep that as a bit of memorabilia. And I bought 2 units of gold or something, and made $1.01 my first ever trade. And the moment I just started trading, I just fell in love. And then from then I progressed and went through the pretty harsh trading journey that most people do. Where you lose a lot of money over time, and that forced me to get into a job. At the time, I was working in a kind of a big warehouse factory, just doing a lot of mailing stuff. It wasn't an enjoyable job or an enjoyable time in my life, but it was funding my trading. And then once I started to get a bit more consistent, that's when the money started to come in a little bit. And with the results I had, I was able to go to third-party investors and be like, hey, these are the type of returns I'm averaging. This is my risk parameters and stuff. And then eventually one of them said, yeah, okay, let's give this a shot. And they funded me, which was a huge step in my career. And I've now paid off that funding. He's moved away. I gave him the return he wanted to, which also gave me a lot of money to the point now I'm fully self-funded, and I do it all on my own.
Wow, that is an incredible story. And it just goes to show that how nice it is that you've kept that first trade as sort of just a reminder of how far you come, because I know that I've got, my first ever uniform from my business, and you look back and you go, God, that's where I started. So I think that's really, really good to keep hold of. So what would you say actually is your biggest motivation? What motivates you to get up in the morning?
It's definitely my why. If you haven't heard the theory of your why, it's by Dean Grisoli. He's one of my favorite authors. And he talks about this process of finding your why. And you ask yourself why 7 times, talking about different things. I'll leave that down to Dean. I'll leave a link, hopefully in the bottom of the video, where you can find this. And it's about finding why you do everything you do. And it's an extremely powerful movement. I read it in a book of his, and he was talking in this book and says he does get emotional when finding a why. And I was just thinking, yeah, it's going to be another one of them sales tactics. And I tried the activity, and I too got emotional. And it was quite a strange feeling, because you stopped during this exercise where you find your reason you do everything is you stop thinking with your head and you start thinking with your heart, and you generally feel that transformation when you do it. And it turns out, once I dug to the bottom and deep inside me, my why was power. I like to be in power of my life. I like to be in control. I like to know what's going on around me. I like to be in control of my finances, my living situation. I like to have everything organized and like that. And that's what drove me into making money.
Wow. I think a lot of people just plod through life and don't know their why, and have never even questioned asking, not deep questions like what's the meaning of life, but what do they want to actually achieve? I think a lot of people will just do the norm. So the 9 to 5, they'll go home, they will just fit in line with society of getting married, having kids, and just doing everything in order without actually thinking, is there more to life? So that's really interesting. And I think
that's why I find I connect well with entrepreneurs more than anything, because entrepreneurs are the people that are kind of attempting to break the system that they've always been taught. They're willing to question things. And I think that's such a powerful attribute. When you're willing to sit down and question what someone's telling you or what you've been taught, that goes way further than anything else you could do, because it's the start of a thinking cycle where you can seriously progress. And I find a lot of entrepreneurs, and especially traders in financial markets, they all have that aspect to them.
I couldn't agree. As an entrepreneur myself, I'm always, questioning myself and wanting more. And they're the people that are generating jobs and coming up with new technology and changing the world. So I think that's very, very important. So have you got any tips or tricks for aspiring entrepreneurs? Something, even if it's just words of wisdom that, someone can listen to and go, that's really helpful.
Yeah, well, something I do a lot of, and most people that know me know this, is delegation. I think a lot of people need to realize if they're incapable of doing a job, or incapable of handling so many clients or whatever it might be in their type of work, even when it comes to investing, if you're incapable of investing, it doesn't mean you don't do it. It doesn't mean you throw it in the bag and you never look at it again. Because there's services, there's people you can pay everywhere that can do it for you. And I know you might be thinking, yeah, but where does the money come in there? For example, a lot of investing of mine is in other traders, and they just take a percentage of profits and I get the other percentage. So I don't do anything. I just give them the money. They go off and trade it and then give me back a profit. They take their profit. Everyone's happy. Now, if I felt like I couldn't trade and I just gave up and said, no, I don't want to do it anymore, I would never be making, that clump of income that brings me every month. And I constantly look to delegate across the board. So I think delegation is something. Focus on what you're good at and let someone else do what you're bad at is extremely important.
Couldn't agree with you more. I think automation is key. And for me in business, as soon as I bought everything online, the amount of time it saved me, time-consuming tasks, because everything was done in the back-end system. Parents would pay, the invoices would go to them automatically, and it just saves time. So delegation, automation of tasks, I think is key, because as an entrepreneur, you can't be in multiple places at once. You can't, if you split your time, it's going to affect you. So I couldn't agree with you more there. So what would you, onto our sort of final question, what would you say is next for you? What sort of, next year, next 5 years, where do you see yourself?
Okay, so I've recently just done my coming to the end of the financial year. I've recently just done my next year plan and my 2-year plan. And majority of my ambitions over the next 2 years is just to spread, just to really spread my wings. Is right now I'm focused in some main investments, and I just want to spread that out. I want to bring in new investments in completely new industries. I want to get into real estate. While I'm still only 22 years old, I feel like building a real estate portfolio now. Well, I can, as I said, as I'm privileged to the point where I can do this from the hard work I've done in the past 4 years. So I'm set for life, really. Something I've always done since I started investing is I want to grind out my 20s. Everyone normally goes and lives in their 20s and they say that's the prime time, go travel and stuff. Whereas I've took a different approach. I want to grind out and work the hardest I've ever worked in my 20s and then be retired from 30 on and just live life for the rest of my life.
Well, you're making me feel bad now. I've got 5 months till I'm 30, and I know we're at different stages of our life, but I totally agree that your 20s are for grinding, and then in your 30s, you build. I think it's great from being obviously in property myself, getting into creating additional income sources, and passive residual incomes are key, because it's money that you're receiving month on month and you're not doing anything for it. So the best thing, as you know, is investing your money wisely to keep generating more money. So I wish you every success in retiring at 30. If you do, you've beaten me. Thank you for your time, Jordon. I hope you enjoyed the interview, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Thank you, CJ. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jordon, for taking the time to answer my questions today and giving insight into your life. I think you've got the balance just right. And as the saying goes, you run the day or the day will run you. If you like this video, guys, please like and comment. We'll be back next week with another.